Alright, so I'm on to part 10 of my walkthrough of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So in the previous part where I just became an adult, I got Epona, the grappling hook, the Bolero of Fire, and started with the Big Goron trading sequence. So in this video, I'm going to continue with the Big Goron trading sequence, and I'm going to go through the Ice Temple. Alright, so if you remember in the previous video, I got the chicken from that girl in Kakariko Village, and then I woke up the person from Lon Lon Ranch, and then she gave me this blue chicken in exchange for the regular chicken. Alright, so when he gives you this mushroom, as you can see, there's a time limit, and you can't use the warp songs in this. If you do, it'll automatically go to 0, so you just have to go there the old-fashioned way. But you can still use the shortcuts. Alright, so that shortcut in the Lost Woods brings me to Zora's River, as you can see. Geez, what product expires in only 3 minutes? Can you think of any product in the real world that does that? Well, maybe it has something to do with time is going faster in this game somehow, because you notice day and night is going so fast. So maybe 3 minutes is actually like 3 days. Oh, I also forgot to mention you can play the Sun Song as many times as you want, and that won't speed up the clock at all. Uh-oh, it's closed, and that was my pathway to go back to the medicine lady, or the person in the Lost Woods referred to her as an old hag. So, I guess I'll go up to the Death Mountain Trail, and then play the Sun Song. I mentioned this earlier, but if you're in a place where time doesn't pass and you play the Sun Song, it'll bring you back to the last entrance, so I'd go all the way back to the entrance, Kakariko Village, and I don't want to do that, because then it'd take longer for me to get to the potion shop. So, 7 years ago, there was a guy blocking that entryway on the left there. So if you remember, I had to grab one of those chickens and hover over to that fence there in front of me. Alright, with 19 seconds to spare. I always say yes. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens if I say no. Alright. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what's going on between the lady and the guy, too. But then again, if they told me, it's probably the type of thing I just skip over anyway. Okay, so this part is not timed. This odd potion that she just gave you doesn't expire. Alright, so if you remember in the previous video when I went to the volcano, I got the bolio or fire. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. So there are these warp songs all across the map. And here what I attempted to do was I was trying to get the warp song, but then when I got to the Temple of Time, I found out that it's too early for me to get it. So I essentially wasted my time coming all the way here. I actually think that's the second time I've had to use the ferry. I could be wrong about that, but I remember another time was in Dodongo's Cavern where I got hit by that bat. Alright, so you've seen me go through Hyrule Field before, so I'm just fast forwarding through this part. So I'm back in the, I guess I'll call it the Kokiri Forest, and I haven't been there in 7 years in the game's time. So this was Midow's house. Alright, so this Kokiri is explaining within the 7 years, without the Great Decade Tree protecting them, a lot of monsters inhabited the Kokiri Forest here. So it isn't safe for them to go outside, they just have to stay inside all day. And in fact, they're probably lucky the monsters aren't coming inside either. I think that, that's called a Dekabubba. I think that's actually larger than the ones I saw before. And I noticed it gave 3 sets of Decanuts instead of the usual 1. And since each set of Decanuts I'm pretty sure it gives you 5 Decanuts. So the total, if you defeat that giant Dekabubba and then strike him in the head and not the stem, I'm pretty sure that gives you 15 Decanuts. So that filled me up. So as she's explaining, anybody who comes here without a fairy turns into a Stalfos. I mean, first of all, I wonder how that happens, like what transforms their body into a Stalfos. And second of all, does that apply to anyone? Like even someone really powerful like Ganondorf, if they come into the forest, they turn into a Stalfos? That's actually a bit creepy. That's like a horror movie or something. So I just got the poacher saw here. So if you leave and come back, I'm not sure if it's her turning into a Stalfos or if it's that other guy, but anyway, there's a Stalfos here, and you can actually defeat him, and every time you defeat him, you get 200 rubies. And that's renewable too, so you can just leave the Lost Woods, come back and fight him again, and get another 200 rubies. So that's probably the easiest way to get a lot of rubies fast. And it's especially a lot better than collecting 100 of those gold spiders. Okay, so just to show you again, these tubes that are pure black, those are the ones you can go through, and the ones that kind of have a grayish tint, those are the ones that'll take you back to the entrance of the Lost Woods. And you can also tell which tube to go in if Sarah's song is playing. If you can hear Sarah's song louder when you're going in a tube, that means you're getting closer to the sacred forest. But if you can't hear Sarah's song, then odds are it's going to take you back to the Kokiri Forest. Okay, you might notice some snow there. So Zora's domain is now entirely frozen over. It's all ice. I don't know exactly how that happened, but it has to have something to do with Ganondorf, right? Alright, so as usual, like you did when you were a child, you play Zelda's Lullaby, and that stops the waterfall in that center, allowing you to go through. So it makes it a little easier to travel through Zora's domain, which is kind of nice, but one of the big downsides is that now you can't use that shortcut back to Lake I guess it was called Hylia. Anyway, you can't use that shortcut that was in Zora's domain anymore. Okay, so that's the shop, and it's blocked by this red ice. So it's really lucky for me that he didn't move back to the center. He's still sitting there on the left, allowing me to go through. It looks like he didn't even try to escape or signal for help or anything. He's still in the exact same position he was 7 years ago. So what happened? Was he slowly freezing and he just figured, well, I can't save myself, I'm not even going to bother moving? Or did like some monster come and freeze everything all at once in a single day? Alright, even though this is spinning, you can still climb up onto it. Alright, I just made it into the Ice Cavern. Now this is actually about as long as an entire temple, or at least the temples you saw when you were a child, so this is going to take a while. Alright, I better get my hook shot. Okay, so these enemies, as you can see, you can just latch onto them, and not only does that hurt them, but if you're walking towards them, allowing you to do more damage. That's especially useful in a place like this where it's very slippery, so yeah, if you try to run around, you might end up slipping or getting hit by that. What is that, like a moving spike platform? Or... Again, I just wonder what's powering that. I mean, there's no electricity in this room. Does it have a battery power source or something? Why does it never run out? It's so irritating. Alright, so I don't think I've seen these silver rubies before. So they're worth only 5 rubies. They're not like worth 100 or something like they are in other games. But how it works is you have to collect all these rubies to unlock something. And usually that means either unlocking a chest or lighting a torch or opening the next doorway. You're actually going to see a lot more of silver or gray rubies throughout the game. That thing's... Well, I guess that spinning ice is the only challenge in the room since there weren't any enemies. And at least it only does a 4th heart damage. So it's not so bad. So these are ice bats. These might even be more annoying than the fire bats, especially when you're an adult, because if they hit you, they freeze you solid. So I want to avoid that. Alright, I was planning on using these bugs on some soft soil to lure out the gold spiders, but I just didn't get around to that, and now I'm already at the blue fire here. I've seen them selling some pretty silly things for high prices, like bugs and fish, like the 200 rubies fish, but blue fire, I can actually see how it'd be worth 300 rubies. I think if you go all the way to this ice dungeon, you deserve 300 rubies for that. So you probably remember seeing the red ice earlier. You're blocking the store and encasing King Zora and throughout this dungeon. So as you can clearly see, this blue fire can actually melt the red ice, but it's not like bugs where you can catch the fire again after you use it. You can only use it one time, and then you gotta go back and get more blue fire. Alright, so just the fact that this pot is surrounded by red ice, I assume there's something valuable in it, like a red or a purple ruby. Oh! That's what happens when you got so much ice, you just slide off really easily. But now, curiosity has gotten the better of me. I really want to know what's in that pot, since I already went to the trouble of, not again. Probably should just be more careful and take it slow. That's what this sort of happens in a lot of games. I fall off or something happens. So then the next time I say, you know, I want to make up for lost time. I want to do it really fast and I'm in a hurry. I don't want to sit through all this again and do it slowly. But then what ends up happening is you end up failing it again. So then it takes longer and longer. So I guess the best way to approach it is just to take it slow and just make it through it so I don't have to do it over again. So before I risk jumping over there, I'm gonna try breaking that pot with the hook shot first. Oh, a purple ruby, alright. So that fills me up. Come to think of it, I wonder how many people have actually bought the blue fire in order to get a shortcut for this dungeon. Like, if you just bought blue fire, you wouldn't even have to go through that part with the gray rubies. You could have just used the blue fire right here and saved some time. Of course, it costs 300 rubies, so you'd have to have the Giant's Wallet first, which requires 30 gold spiders. Okay, so there's a blue fire right here, so this is more close to the entry of the dungeon. So this is going to save me time. I don't have to go all the way back to that one room to get blue fire. I can get it right here. And if you notice on the other side, there was a heart piece, but as usual, I'm avoiding those. So I think when these bats touch the blue fire, that's actually what turns them into ice. Because I only see those ice bats in rooms that have blue fire. So I'm just not sure, how much sense does that make? Because shouldn't fire make them even hotter? Is the blue fire turning them into ice or something? And if so, why would the blue fire melt the red ice? Shouldn't it make more ice? So, is that blue fire, is it hot or cold? You see a stove, you see the red fire on the top, and then you see the really hot fire on the bottom is blue, so you'd think it'd be really hot. So that's just what baffles me about it, turning those bats into ice bats. So, since the red ice melts and the normal ice doesn't, does that mean the red ice is actually more vulnerable or less cold than the regular ice? Okay, so here's another room with these gray or silver rubies, but this room isn't as simple as the other one. This one makes it a little more difficult, because they're up on these platforms, and in order to get to a lot of them, you gotta push that platform there, so you can climb up and reach these higher platforms. Probably want to take out these bats first so they don't get in my way. So it's been a while since I've done this. I'm hoping I can remember how to push the block correctly, or if not, I can figure out how to do it. Shouldn't be all that difficult. Okay, so if you remember, both the shop and King Zora and Zora's domain were frozen with the red ice. So I want to leave this dungeon with at least 2 bottles of blue fire. Okay, so with the way I've currently pushed the block, it doesn't look like it's possible for me to get up to that last gray ruby. At least I'm hoping it's the last one. Oh no, wait, there's one in red ice there that I just saw. Never mind. Okay, so that one looks like it's actually pretty easy to get from the start. You just push this block to the left and then climb up. And if you push this ice block into the abyss there, or into the bottomless hole, then another ice block is just going to regenerate, so you don't have to worry about losing it. See, can I jump it from here, or? Oh yes, I just got it. I was a little worried there that I wouldn't be able to make it. far as Zelda challenges go, this is actually pretty difficult compared to the other ones. I mean, it's not really difficult, but just in comparison to the other puzzles in the game, it's not one that I just know right away, even though I've done it before. Alright, so like I said, I want to keep at least 2 blue fires, so I want to refill on my blue fire here. Okay, so I'm just trying to think this out. I guess that I better just give it a try, and I can always push the block into the abyss in case it doesn't. Okay, so I just pushed this here. Now that's a bit off. I'm hoping maybe I can jump that like I did with the gray ruby. I'll give it a try. There we go, I made it. It looked a little like the Link edged up, like he wasn't quite to the ledge. I've seen that happen in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, where they give you a little more leeway with the ledges. It's not completely realistic, but I'm not complaining. Okay, so I have to use some of my blue fire here to get through this red ice. So I've seen this Warpost before, but I've never seen a white one. Is that some rare breed or something? I could be wrong about this, but I think there are only around 3 of these in the entire game. Alright, so that's the reason I came here, to get the iron boots. More important than reflecting myself, it'll allow me to go to Lake Halea anytime I want. So I think this song is actually taught to you the furthest away from where it teleports you to. And if you notice, it just turned black right there. That always used to scare me. I always thought, uh-oh, my game is freezing or something. You know, back when I had like the Nintendo 64 and thing, it froze a lot. And think of how much that would suck to go through this entire temple, and just when you get the iron boots and the song, it freezes. So, anyway, what I was saying before is that song, I think it's taught the furthest away from where it teleports you to, because we're nowhere near Lake Halea. Alright, so these iron boots allow you to to walk underwater like this. Of course, they make you walk slower, so above water they're not that helpful. At least I'm not sliding around. But I still prefer the regular Kokiri boots. Okay, so just making a pit stop to fill up a second bottle with blue fire. Alright, so I think I got everything I came for, and now I'm ready to leave. So join me next time where I'm going to finish the Big Goron trading sequence and obtain the Big Goron Sword. It's probably the most useful optional item in the entire game.